Good morning again, folks. This is Scott. It is still the 18th day of February 2023. That is still Bo. There's no co-pilot in the co-pilot seat. This is my second video today. I had fun making the first one. I'm holding my breath until I get my $1 billion to fix the election system here in the United States. But we'll see. I'll put the pitch out there. That's all you can do. I'm going to talk about Rage Against the War Machine. And this fucking rally that's taking place tomorrow. Full disclosure, I saw somebody do a video on it yesterday, and he had spliced, for some reason, a video from Gray Zone with Max Blumenthal into a video that he had sampled, where there were three guests on Wolf Blitzer's show in 3 boxes, and Wolf Blitzer, and he had sampled a section where the person in one box was talking and the rest of them were just sitting there quietly listening. He had taken that guy out of that box and inserted clips from Max Blumenthal, and then when he had to edit that and make a break in his talk with Jimmy Dore, what he did was he did a wipe on the whole fucking video, the whole CNN video. So it looked like it was an actual CNN piece talking about this upcoming fucking protest. So I made a video about it. And I talked mostly about, as you'll see in a minute, I just reprocessed my own. I'm having to make a new video. I can't edit like that. But I had mentioned in there that it was on CNN. Silly me. I didn't think in this day and age that somebody supposedly on our side would be producing fake news, which is exactly what that jackass did. And what that jackass continues to do, and put stuff out there, hoping that people like myself will use it in their videos in order to discredit their work, which is why he's doing it. So there you go with that. So full disclosure, this video was going to go up, or a video about this subject was going to go up, but it included 2 or 3 minutes talking about CNN and the CNN interview. So I had to scrap the whole goddamn thing because I can't fucking edit. There you go. So I have to make this video now, which is okay because this will be even better. Quickly, I received this from Mike Palasek. I mentioned this in the previous video. He sends me all of his new stuff, and I'm so happy, and he signed it. Thank you very much. And it is called The Resistance by Mike Palasek. If you never read his stuff, you should. It's really good stuff. He's like a historical novelist, like a historical fiction novelist. Some of it's very, very accurate, even though it's historical fiction, quote unquote. And of course, he has in The Resistance a bunch of cartoon characters, which, by the way, is perfect for this video. Thank you very much, Mike, for sending me that. You guys should check out his stuff. You can find it. Just Google Mike Palasek. I'll post a link to something down below. Anyway, perfect for this video. Let's talk about the cartoon caricature resistance we got going on now. This is the Rage Against the War Machine from fucking Gray Zone. This is the video in which this guy clipped some videos to post into the fucking fake news that he's been producing. And there's a nice little clip here, a nice little quote I want to share with you. And this one's from Jimmy Dore and his fucking millionaire's hat and cool looking outfit. Here he is, Jimmy Dore. Failed fucking comedian turned limited hangout fucking activist. Have a listen.
Against the war. There's only one condition that I have for people who want to come be a part of this anti-war rally, and that is that you want to stop the wars.
He said earlier in this, and I'll post a link to this down below. You can watch the whole fucking thing. He said earlier in this, he's talking about all of the bad faith attacks on them for this event. Now, I'm going to give you a bad faith attack, but it's actually good faith, and in good faith. People will undoubtedly, and they have on Twitter when I was talking about this yesterday, people will undoubtedly come at me with, well, Scott, you're letting the fucking perfect be the enemy of the good. Why do you have to tear down our own from the inside? You're working for the establishment. Wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong. It is not about letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. Jimmy Dore, say what you will, Max Blumenthal is not the good and will never be the good. And the entire network of little sycophantic cronies that he's fucking creating. He mentions at some point in this video, he says that the people who have decided to stay away, and I'm guessing we're talking about Code Pink. David Swanson is in this video. David Swanson is associated with a number of big-time professional, well, most of them have real jobs. But they are very, very active in anti-war movement. They have been very active in anti-war movement, unlike fucking Max Blumenthal and Jimmy Dore, by the way, dating all the way back to 2003, where we were trying to stop them from invading illegally a country called Iraq. Some even go back to, even earlier than that, trying to keep us from destabilizing and tearing apart places like Yugoslavia, for instance. I don't see Michael Parente's name on that, but Michael Parente might be dead. I have no idea. He'd be if he's still alive, but they would never have someone like him. Point is, people are staying away, and I can't speak for everyone. However, people are staying away because, for one, they are including some elements that I will explain to you, which are not necessarily opposing the establishment. Just like Max Blumenthal isn't actually opposing the establishment. Another reason is, I believe, is because of Blumenthal himself and his history. And they don't want to be part of the Blumenthal gang of professional activists. I like how they talk about, these he'll talk about these professional activists and the established activists on the left. And he's sitting next to a guy who's a multi-millionaire for making videos on YouTube that are just basically bringing up, or he's making he makes reaction videos, and he uses thumbnails that mirror successful thumbnails from kids in the gaming industry and on YouTube, with the big yellow fucking text and a wacky picture of someone's face, and a lot of bright colors like reds and greens and especially yellows. For some reason, that's a really clicky kind of fucking color. He just took that, and just in every single fucking thumbnail is the exact same thing. And all he does basically is show somebody else's work on the screen next to him, and then stop it, and then tell you what he just read, as if you're too stupid to understand what somebody else fucking wrote. And that is his activism. And that is what has made him a multi-millionaire. That and the fact that for some reason, Susan WikiWiki and YouTube won't take him down for saying things that I've said and lost fucking channels for. For some reason. Now, let's be more specific about the guy he's in the video with, where he says, all I care about is if you're opposing the wars.
Condition that I have for people who want to come be a part of this anti-war rally, and that is that you want to stop the wars.
You want to stop the wars. That's the only fucking condition he has. The guy in the video with him, Max Blumenthal, is the son of career Clinton hatchet man, Sidney Blumenthal. He is a serious DC insider, and he is very much in bed with the establishment and with regime change efforts. That's his daddy. And this is Max. And these are just a few of his tweets from back during the early stages of our regime change operation in Syria. And here, even though Max kind of says, I can't imagine him holding on, he kind of says he opposes the regime change. He actually doesn't. At Syria for Change. True, Assad is showing how state violence only pushes protest beyond a point of no return. I can't imagine him hanging on. As if Assad was responsible for the violence being committed by Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra and ISIS, these fucking terrorists that we hired. These Takfaris, these Salafists that we hired to go in and fucking cause chaos and bloodshed in order so we could stand back and go, oh my God, look at what the Assad regime is doing. We've got to regime change. This is Max Blumenthal in support of regime change in Syria. Syrian Christians rally for Assad in Dearborn. The blind ethnic tribalism sort of reminds me of Stand for Israel rallies. Tribalism. They don't want their leader who was elected regime changed, and he compares it to Stand for Israel rallies. This is Max Blumenthal. He is a piece of shit. Assad's mini Nakba. Syrian forces shelling Palestinian refugee camp in Latakia with gunships, tanks, and 10,000 flee. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Never fucking happened. Terrorists did that, and Max Blumenthal lied in order to try to get the left to back the regime change of another country's leader. That's a guy not raging against the war machine. That's a guy raging for it. Here's another image. There was this thing with Jeremy Scahill and Max Blumenthal. There was a rally to stop the fucking regime change campaign. And somebody was going to speak at it. Mother Agnes. She's Syrian, she's Catholic, and she was very effective when speaking about what was happening in Syria and that we shouldn't be regime changing their leader in their country. Max Blumenthal. So Jeremy Scahill and others said they wanted no part of her being on stage. Why? Because they called her an Assad apologist. Because they were all about, yeah, we don't really want war, but we need to fucking regime change Assad. They didn't like her being there because she was Christian and because she was effective and a very sympathetic character. And she had all kinds of stories to tell about what our terrorists were doing. So, Jeremy Scahill, champion for fucking peace, and Max Blumenthal wanted no part of her on stage. This person, Susan, was saying, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? And his response is, there's a difference between censorship and non-complicity. We're not censoring her. We're just not going to be complicit. Complicit with what? Her Assad apologism. That's Max Blumenthal. Doing his level best to try to convince the left to regime change Assad. That's the guy that Jimmy Dore's going to be working with on this Rage Against the War Machine rally. Okay? Are you with me so far? Good. Here's another one for you. Now, this is Libya. This is my work in 2015 called Killing Strangers, Benghazi and the Blumenthal Trio. This is a very good, if I say so myself, article. Very well fucking documented. I think most of the links still work. This was archived from my website that they deleted. This talks about the role Max Blumenthal. By the way, the trio is Max and Paul Blumenthal and their father, Sidney Blumenthal. A lot of people don't like equating Sidney Blumenthal with either Max or Paul, but they try to keep Paul's name separate from both of them, but they are clearly brothers. And it takes a little work, but you can find hidden here and there proof that that is fucking Max Blumenthal's brother and Sidney Blumenthal's son. Paul got his start blogging with the Soros-sponsored Sunlight Foundation, which he worked for 5 years before going to the Huffington Post. That's the trio. Here's the deal. In a nutshell, there was a bullshit video that the FBI had control of, and it was originally titled The Innocence of Bin Laden, and it was used as a honeypot in Los Angeles. The FBI had this Nucala guy, whatever his name is, manufacture, produce it. And the idea was to put a film out there and then hold a one-day fucking viewing of it on a Saturday or whatever day it was, and try to get a bunch of radical Muslims to come watch it. And the FBI set up shop across the street to record all the fucking radical Muslims so they know who they could frame for terrorist acts in L.A., I guess. No one showed up. So it was a complete bust. Now, that was 5 months before Benghazi. So what happens with Benghazi is we have the February 17th Brigade attack the CIA compound in fucking Benghazi. We need a justification for it. What caused this? What really happened was the green fucking revolution was taking place. They were pushing us back. They were pushing us out, and they were reconstituting a fighting force to retake Libya. Well, we couldn't have that. We had oil fucking contracts now with big business, and people were coming in. They were privatizing all the stuff that was state-run before. There's too much money. So, Sidney Blumenthal, hatchet man for the Clinton, and Tyler Drumheller, a guy who had orchestrated color revolutions and proxy armies in the past for the State Department and the fucking CIA. They were in Libya for about a month and a half prior they'd gotten there, and they've been working on something. And they orchestrated the whole Benghazi, September 11th Benghazi attack. But they needed justification. They needed something plausible that they could say this is what caused it. Out of nowhere, I mean literally hours, shit still fucking burning in Benghazi, Max Blumenthal writes this article stating that this video, The Innocence of the Muslims, is what pissed off the people in fucking Benghazi and caused them to fucking get together and riot at the CIA fucking compound. How did he come up with that? How did he even know it happened hours when he was writing it? It was happening. There was no other news on it. So how did he know about this? Then come to find out through an email that Hillary Clinton had been in communication with Sidney. Sidney told Hillary Clinton about his son's fucking article. Hillary Clinton is pointing at the article going, oh, that's what caused it. The very next fucking morning, Max Blumenthal participated in what happened in Benghazi. He participated. What was the point of what happened in Benghazi? More bombing of people in Libya because we didn't want the Libyans rising up and taking control of their own country. So more bombing in Libya as a result of what happened in Benghazi, which Max and his father had key parts in carrying out. Tyler Drumheller, by the way, 2 weeks before he was going to testify at the Benghazi hearing, developed a very fast-acting fucking cancer and died. Not only did they bomb people in Libya, but then because they said the people were out, the angry people who were pissed off at the innocence of the Muslim video, which they had never seen, of course. It had just been posted by the FBI somewhere in Yemen or some shit. So they started bombing people all across Northern Africa, in all these different countries in Northern Africa. So they used that as justification for a massive bombing campaign to get rid of dissidents, uprisings, potential uprisings, movements that weren't productive to our national interests. And that was all brought to you by, ultimately, Sidney Blumenthal, with the help of Max Blumenthal. And there is an article you can read yourself, and it'll explain all of that to you. Now, we've got Syria, that he was in support of, in terms of regime changing Assad and the violence that comes with that. And we've got Libya, which he was in support of. And his father, quite probably, along with Tyler Drumheller, were the architects of the attack on Benghazi compound September 11th that took the lives of 4 Americans. Okay? So don't come at me saying, you're letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. We all have backgrounds. He can't fucking help who he was born to, but he can help lying. He can help deliberately trying to infiltrate the alt community, the anti-war community, and subvert it to, say, support bloody regime change in places like Syria, to support bombing fucking people back into the fucking Stone Ages in Libya, and to slavery, people being sold on slave auctions in backyards in Libya, and, of course, the continued bombing of, or the beginning of the bombing of all these different countries in North Africa, which, of course, Hillary Clinton did under the justification, the cover of Benghazi. So, I'm not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. I'm exposing the bad, the rotten, the corrupt, the liar that is the enemy of the good. And that is what I am doing. And that is all I am doing. I know from which I speak. You talk about Ukraine. I was writing about Ukraine in 2011, 2012, 2013, and early 2014. By the way, all of that is ahead of before the color revolution kicked off. I know a little bit about Ukraine. And then, between then and, I don't know, 2018, I covered Ukraine a lot. I know from which I speak when it comes to Ukraine. And then, of course, on my current channel, my current website, I have done a great deal of work on Ukraine. I understand what Ukraine is. I know what Ukraine is. Here's a website. So, did they ask me? No, of course not. There's a lot of people out there, they don't want that. Because these guys are going to have a very milquetoast, limited hangout impression of what's happened in Ukraine. Let me show you their fucking rage against it. But before we do that, there's more on Max Blumenthal. I'm not the first one to come up with this. And in fact, the images I showed you, somebody put together this, which is a whole bunch of his tweets in support of war. And that's just in terms of Syria. By the way, I'm pretty sure he did the same thing when it was early in the fucking regime change. Of course, he was working for that lying piece of shit from the Young Turks at the time. So who the fuck knows what he actually believed? Let me show you something. And we'll leave it at this. Well, I can't leave it at this. I got to show you two things now. I forgot. These are their demands. Look at that picture. Millions of people. They expect millions of people to show up at their stupid fucking rally. And this is their demands. They say, join us at the Lincoln Memorial, 12:30 p.m. on Sunday, February 19th at the anniversary of the Ukraine War and President's Day weekend. To rage against the war machine, exclamation point. Veterans, speakers, rock musicians, Roger Waters. Comedians and more. After the rally, we'll march to the White House and deliver our demands to the warmonger-in-chief, Joe Biden. One of the speakers that they have is Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard endorsed that warmonger-in-chief, by the way. Just so you know. Let me get to one of these has this. I can go up. Here we go. Tulsi Gabbard. Here are their demands. Not one more penny for the war in Ukraine. Negotiate peace. Stop the war inflation, disband NATO, global nuclear de-escalation / the Pentagon budget, abolish the CIA and military industrial deep state, abolish war and empire, restore civil liberties, and free Julian Assange, a CIA asset. You got 10 fucking demands. How many of those are valid? One. Only one of those demands are valid. And ergo, only one of those demands should be on their fucking list. Negotiate peace. This is between Ukraine and Russia. If you stop giving money to Ukraine, the war ends. We have nothing to do with negotiating peace. This has got nothing to do with us. Ergo, number 2, off. Because number 1 takes care of it. You stop writing the checks to fucking Zelensky and his wife, and this thing ends tomorrow. Period. End of story. Number one is the only goddamn demand that makes sense. Number three, stop war inflation. That's being done to destabilize the country. Good luck on that. Disband NATO would never happen. Global nuclear de-escalation. It's a nice idea. It's a nice thought. Maybe we can work on that later, but let's take care of one thing at a time. Slash the Pentagon budget. Never going to fucking happen. Abolish the CIA and military industrial deep state. What happened to the last public servant, elected public servant, who tried to do that? Nice idea, different fucking rally. Abolish war and empire. It's kind of like the war on terror, isn't it? Well, stop all war from now on. That's just gone. Poof, done. Thank you. Let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Shut the fuck up. Can't be done. Restore civil liberties. They kind of tossed that one in there. Again, good idea, decent rally, different rally. And then, of course, the CIA asset, Julian Assange. Who gives a shit? You have one fucking demand that makes sense. One. No more money for the war in Ukraine. And that ends the war the very next fucking day. You don't need to negotiate peace at that point. You don't need to stop war inflation at that point. It's all done. When the businesses can't use that and the sanctions as justification for charging more money and jacking up fucking cost of living to make our economy scream, you take away their goddamn cover for that, that'll fix the inflation. So they have one fucking demand that makes sense. One. Now let's have a look at their cast of fucking coalition here. People's Party. People's Party is fucking DNC. They are DLC. They are centrist. Even though they pretend to be socialist and leftist, they call themselves comrades. It's a fraud. The People's Party is a fraud, created by the fraud that ran that fraud's campaign, not once, but twice. Bernie Sanders. People's Party, total 100% fucking fraud. Libertarian. The Libertarian Party is an organizer and a chief organizer. We'll talk about that. That's one libertarian organization. The Mises Caucus is two libertarian corporations. The Libertarian Party of Maryland is three. Liberty Speaks is another one, four. Theo and Sons is the people who do the merch. The punk rock libertarians, five. We've got five fucking libertarians so far. A lot of libertarians. Six, Libertarian Party of Virginia. 6 libertarians. And the antiwar.com is run by, or used to be run by, a fucking libertarian. I don't know if they're still libertarian. Bring Our Troops Home. I got no problem with them. Veterans for Peace. I got no problems with them. Geopolitics and Empire. I'd be interested to see what the fuck that is. So you got 6 libertarian organizations financing this. And you say, Scott, what's wrong with libertarians? They're bringing together the left and the right, the alt-left and the alt-right. That's great. Neoliberalism is what we are fighting against. Neoliberalism is what the World Economic Forum wants to install in an ironclad fucking way that we will never be able to get out of, ever. Neoliberalism is what has caused this fucking country and many others to come to the point where it's at now. Starting off with the grand, glorious Reagan Revolution. Let me read this to you. It is not, by the way, new liberals, a political ideology. It is generally associated with the policies of economic liberalization, including privatization, deregulation, globalism, free trade, monetism, austerity, and reductions in government spending. Small government. And connecting the private sector to the government. Public-private partnerships. That's neoliberalism. When the term entered into the common use in the 1980s in connection with Augusto Pinochet's economic reforms, The Economic Brick, written by Milton Friedman, in Chile, it quickly took on negative connotations and was employed principally by critics of market reform and laissez-faire capitalism. Keep that in mind, you'll hear it again. Scholars tended to associate it with the theories of the Mount Perlin Society, economists Friedrich Hayek, Milton Friedman, and Ludwig von Mises. Von Mises. Von Mises. I thought we were raging against. What the heck is this? Libertarianism. Libertarian is a political philosophy with liberty as its core. It is associated with laissez-faire capitalism. If you scroll down just a little bit in terms of what is right libertarianism, which is what we're dealing with now today. These are right libertarians, right-wing libertarians. Right libertarians developed in the United States in the mid-20th century from the works of European writers like John Locke, Friedrich Hayek, and Ludwig von Mises. There's that Mises again. Libertarians, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are nothing more than fooled neoliberals. The Libertarian Party, a couple years back, one of the heads, said, fuck it, we should just start calling ourselves neoliberals. Because that's what we are. That didn't go over so well. So they had to shut him up. These are the people they want. Jimmy Dore, Max Blumenthal, want the left to join with, to work with, to learn from. What did I tell you about Max Blumenthal in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15? His job was to infiltrate and then try to move the fucking resistance and bring them in line with the establishment. Which is why he did what he did with Libya, which is why he did what he did with fucking Syria. This has always been his fucking thing. Now, they're trying to get us, who are opposed to free market laissez-faire capitalism, opposed to austerity measures, opposed to our economic ideologies being bombed into other fucking countries or stealing their elections. We are opposed to these things. These guys over here, the Mises crowd, say they're opposed to those things. However, we're still liking the austerity. We still think it's okay for deregulation, privatization, freeing up the markets, the glorious markets. We got to get rid of all these fucking regulations that are in our way. They're still all for that. So what Max Blumenthal is trying to do with this combination is to get us to adopt their thinking and to move along in that direction back into the establishment's fold. It's like Ron Paul. Listen, what more can I say? Who is here? Who are the people who are here? Where's the fucking speakers? Front and center, Ron Paul. Mr. Deregulation, privatize Social Security, privatize Medicaid and Medicare, let the invisible hand of business deal with it, and let's push that glorious free market. Of course, his fucking philosophy is, be your own man. Don't be a fucking statist. Don't look up to government to fix all your problems. Meanwhile, his piece of shit son was partying too hard at the University of Texas and got kicked the fuck out. So Ron Paul pulled some strings at Duke and got him into Duke Medical School, a very hard school to get into, without even having a bachelor's degree. And of course, because he's a legacy kid, he graduated. But that wasn't good enough for old Ron Paul and little fucking entitled Randy. So he got him a fucking job in the United States fucking Senate without ever having done anything for anyone his entire fucking life. All of his health care, his family's health care, his kids' health care, Rand Paul's health care, Rand Paul's kids' health care, Rand Paul's kids' health care is all going to be covered by the government dime from now until the end of time. You pay for their transportation. You probably pay for their apartment in fucking Washington, because they write that off as a business deal, as a business expense, as a Senate expense. You pay for their vacations. You talk about being a fucking statist, Ron Paul and Rand Paul. And that wasn't the only fucking family member Ron Paul got a goddamn government paycheck to. Tulsi has been in support of fucking regime change operations every single goddamn time. What are you talking about? All you got to do is oppose these wars. What the fuck is he talking about? What the fuck is he talking about? Dennis Kucinich, yes. Cynthia McKinney, yes. Ann Wright, yes. Chris Hedges, not really, no. Look up his shit on fucking Yugoslavia back when Yugoslavia was happening. David Swanson, yes. Garland Nixon, yes. Jill Stein, yes. What the fuck is Tara Reid? Who cares what Tara Reid says? Jesus Christ. And that's it. That's it. Those are the only ones that I would give a shit what the fuck they have to say about stopping wars. Those are the only ones. Period. End of story. So these two are all upset because, according to them, all these bad faith attacks on what they're doing. They're not bad faith. They are actually 100, at least this one, 100% legitimate. Now, I can't speak for why Code Pink isn't there. I can't speak for why the rest of them aren't there. According to Max, it's because they want control. They want to be able to run this movement, to lead this movement. What does that tell me? That tells me he wants control. He wants to be able to lead this movement. That's what that tells me. And he wants to be able to lead it all the way around back to the fucking establishment. The Rage Against the War Machine rally. Bullshit. Because when it counts, when it fucking matters, every single time, Max Blumenthal is on the wrong side. I can't speak for fucking Jimmy Dore because all he does is pull up somebody else's fucking work and go here and read it. And then after every fucking sentence, stop and tell you what the sentence just said. That's his fucking shtick. That's what he's done. That's why he's a multi-millionaire. Me, on the other hand, this is what I've done. And this is just one topic. Just one fucking topic. And this was long before the goddamn Russian quote-unquote invasion. This is just one fucking topic. Not that I would qualify to be anti-war and speak in a rally like this. I guess because I would come out and say, I'm not so sure about these Mises guys. I'm not so sure they're all that different from Klaus fucking Schwab or the IMF or the World Trade Organization. Because they all kind of believe in the same fucking thing. Is that reason enough to shy away from the rage against the war machine? Well, if they reduce the fucking 10 demands, 9 of which are completely fucking bullshit, and certainly 7 of those could never be done anyway, if they reduce the 10 down to 1, and they all spoke out about stopping the funding for our proxy fucking war in Ukraine. If that was it and that was all there was, I would say okay. But that's not. And that's not what all these people will be talking about. They'll all be out there pushing their own little agendas. And God knows, every fucking time one of these things happens, for the first year and a half, Max Blumenthal, either tacitly or openly, is in favor of the regime change, especially if it's being done by, somebody associated with the Clintons. And then, of course, Captain Hindsight, after it's all done, after the bombs have all fucking settled and the dust is all settled and the people are all dead and the regime has been changed, then Max Blumenthal comes out and goes, oh my God, we got to rage against the war machine. If that's the kind of leader you think this country needs, and the anti-war movement, and the freedom movement, and the liberty movement needs, more power to you. Me? I have a more discerning palate, so to speak. History matters. You can say what you will about me fucking pointing out fucking Max Blumenthal's mistakes in his past. They weren't mistakes. Everyone has mistakes. Everyone's made mistakes. Everyone has a bad fucking, especially me, a bad fucking history. God knows. But my mistakes didn't involve lying, trying to misdirect and mislead people to supporting wars. That certainly doesn't qualify for raging against the war machine. Okay? That's the video I made yesterday. That's the video I made today. There is still one more I have to make. It might wait till tomorrow because it is getting late for me. I'm old and I'm tired. So I might be going to take a nap for a little while. But I will talk to you later. Thank you very, very much for your time. All right? Bye-bye.